Well, my view is that human ability is not fixed at 11, 14, 16 or 55. I believe that really the job of schools is to nurture human talent, not limit it by labelling at 11. I believe that we can't afford to waste human talent, we can't afford to squander all the resources, and that's why I think the 11 plus is obsolete and is unjust. My point is, I don't believe that ability is fixed. Ability in what? You know, are we talking about a limited view of ability in maths and English? What about ability in dance? What about ability in music? What about other abilities, creative abilities that we need to save the world in the 21st century? I think we've moved on from the limited notion of what human intelligence is. And I think the 11 plus tests a very narrow definition of what we mean by ability. I do think it is about competition, and it's about haves and have-nots. And I mean, I know in Northern Ireland, it's not on, you know, the 11 plus doesn't select on academic ability. It selects on social status and on, you know, free school meals. The grammar schools have, you know, fewer than 10% of the pupils in grammar schools have free school meals. In non-selective schools, you get a 50%. So it's more about that social milieu that they want to be in than egalitarian principles of, you know, meritocracy.
But they would deny that. They would deny that it was selection on.
But they can't. But the data's there. Are we going back to say that because a child is from a free school meal home that he's stupid? You know, I mean, is that what we're saying? That there's some kind of genetic link? Yeah, well, that's not true, because for example, in our school, I can show you that given the right climate, like Ken Robinson's Death Valley, those children can succeed. But it's about belief that they can succeed and making them believe that they can succeed. You know, and for too many schools are giving children the belief that they can't succeed. The wasted lives, the stigma of feeling that you're a failure at 11, the associated feelings that there's no point learning in school, the spiral downwards then into poor behaviour, and obviously lowered life chances. I mean, I have evidence to show that if you don't pass 11 plus, you have lower chances in your life. You have lower chance of getting a job, you have lower chance of survival, you know, so it's really unjust. 40% of our pupils leave school without 5 GCSEs, including maths and English. Now, 4 out of 10 is not a good average. I mean, you're wasting all of that ability. And what happens to those children who have no qualifications? It suggests that we're creating a society really that's not cohesive, haves and have-nots. And I think that's the last thing Northern Ireland needs. We're moving out of conflict. We need to heal and have an inclusive society where everyone has a stake. Education should be about mining talent. I always talk about Ken Robinson's view of Death Valley. Death Valley is a place where nothing grows, it's barren, but in 2004, the winter of 2004, it had rainfall. And in the spring of 2005, it was carpeted with flowers. That shows there was life in Death Valley, but it needed the right climate. So schools need to create the right climate for learning and help children find their talent, not just look at the surface. Well, what is a real educational system for if it's not to unleash human talent? I suppose I would question that, you know, I talked to our staff about being on a treadmill, jumping on a treadmill and just going through the motions. We don't want to do that in St Patrick's. We want to get right back to basics, is what is education all about, and do the really important things. In 2011, we had 51% of our pupils achieved 5 GCSEs, including maths and English. And I thought 50-50 wasn't a good enough shot in an all-ability school. So what did we do? Well, created a world-class learning resource team to intervene when a child looked like they weren't on track. I created a Raising Standard team at Key Stage 4 to follow a child's progress. And I suppose what I did was introduce mixed ability, because I wanted the teachers' expectations to be raised. You know, I felt that the teachers felt, oh, I'm teaching the lowest stream, so they're not expected to pass. So I upped the ante and said, no, everyone's expected to pass. Now let's make it happen. I suppose they initially would have been concerned that their child would have been sacrificed on the altar of egalitarianism. The opposite has happened. Our brightest children, if you wanted, the traditionally academically able, are doing even better now because we use them to teach the others. So, you know, if we have a child who's really gifted in maths, we say, look, you know, there's Pat, needs help, and they actually increase their ability in maths by having to teach somebody else. So I have the statistics to prove it. At the top end, if you want to call it that, our brightest and our best are doing even better. But what's happening is they're bringing up all the youngsters. So everybody now is doing well.
Why in 2015 are we going back to this model which does totally divide? And it divides communities, it divides the students, the neighbours that are living next door to each other who normally would walk to the same school, be friends in the same school, to say, well, actually, no, you're going to go to the secondary modern because you're going to be doing apprenticeships, whereas I'm going to go to this very academic school where I will be doing GCSEs and A-levels. It doesn't. Young minds don't work like that.
I think that there will be less social mobility as a result of these changes. I know that there are arguments that say, you know, that we're not saying who will be successful and therefore there could be great social mobility as a result of all these changes. My personal feeling is that by constraining people and narrowing the list of subjects that are deemed useful, and by narrowing the list of skills that are deemed useful, and by dividing people into academic and not academic, I think you're causing more divisions and more problems rather than having a kind of more all-encompassing curriculum where children can have a go at lots of different things and where their talents can be nurtured, but where they can also be pushed to try new things. I think that would be better. I think that narrowing things is more divisive.